Don't run, don't crawl. It's the Smoke World Podcast. It's time to think, so go ahead and get yourself a smoke.
All right, Ed, you tell us what we got going on this year.
Yes, sir. What's up, family? My name's Ed Lehman. I'm the Senior Brand Manager for Alec Bradley. Welcome to PCA 2026. I think it's 26. Yeah, where are we at? Like, it's 26, right?
Yeah, I think 26.
I'm an old man. I'm running out of time.
I got no
So, again, welcome. I'm Ed. This is Alec Bradley. We're going to talk to you about the new Alec Bradley called Alec Bradley 30 Years. Very important to me, very important to the brand. This is the 30th anniversary of Alec Bradley. I think it's important because in the mid-90s, you had a lot of companies that introduced and injected a level of creativity that without that injection in 95 and 96, I honestly believe we wouldn't be in the same space we are now. These companies, CAO, Drew Estate, Rocky Patel, Alec Bradley, they brought a level of creativity to the industry that still ripples today. So Alec Bradley 30 Years is a reflection of that innovation throughout the years. And it's really celebrating the past, but more importantly, it's looking towards the future, right? So 30 years, it's about where we've been for 30 years and where we're going for the next 30 years. So what we have is, we have 3 core sizes. There's 16 count boxes. We have a Robusto, we have a Toro, we have a Gordo. Price points are between $10, $11, $12. We also have a very special limited 10 count box in a Perfecto. This is only going to be brick and mortar. This is only going to be for retail locations. This is going to come out in another month. We're going to get traction on the core, and then we're going to come back out. Perfect for events, perfect for something.
Why did you pick 16?
Because it's less than 20. Right? So for real, look, everybody is looking at their money a little bit differently, right? Including cigar smokers, including retailers. It may not sound like a lot, but if I put it in a 24 count box, that's 8 extra cigars. So all of a sudden you retailer buying this box, it becomes a $150 box versus a less than $100 box, right? So we wanted to give the retailer an opportunity to get in. We wanted to give the cigar smoker an opportunity to smoke something for $10, $11, right? So the logic behind the creation of brands is there because I want to basically make sure that everybody is happy with the purchase, from the retailer to the cigar smoker, right? So 16. I'd like to do 10 count, but 10 count, sometimes you look at a margin and it doesn't really work that way. So 16 is kind of a sweet spot for me. It's just enough, for people to get on board with this brand, right? We've had a long relationship with a factory called Raíces Cubana in Honduras. Hugo and his family have been a part of Alec Bradley's DNA for a very long time. So Hugo and his factory in Raíces Cubana in Honduras made the cigar for us. He has a farm in Trojes, Honduras, and he grows a lot of very good tobacco down there. So you have a lot of Trojas in this blend. You have a Trojas wrapper from Honduras. You have a double binder from Nicaragua and Honduras. And then you also have Nicaraguan Honduran fillers in this from a lot of different regions, right, including the Trojas region of Honduras. So I feel like it's a medium-bodied smoke. It's got a lot of full flavor characteristics. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you it's like cinnamon and baking spice and vanilla and peeps and yeah. I'll let you make your own call on that. But I tell you that it's a very well balanced cigar. It's full on flavor. It's not going to bite your head off with a lot of spice and anything like that. It's just going to be a very good any time of the day smoke. I'll let you make your own conclusions on that. QRs on the band, so if you want to learn more about the brand or the story, you have the ability to scan that. It takes you to videos and like little interviews and all that stuff. Yeah, man. So very happy with this. This is ready to go now. This will come in about another month. Like I said, we'll get traction on this on the shelf, with the billboard and the brand, and then we'll come back and hit this early summer, for limited. Yeah. So it's limited to 2026. I've made about 2,000 boxes for this, right? Like I said, my desire is for this not to be online. My desire is for this Perfecto size basically to be in brick and mortar only, right? So that's what you got new from Alec Bradley, man. I'm happy to show it to you. I'm more happy that you're going to smoke it after you hear this.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, fam. It's called Appointment Brazil. Really, really nice experience. Elevated approach to the brand. We have Brazilian Arapiraca wrapper, and we have Nicaraguan binder and filler. Right, so the body and the profile is much different than what you came to enjoy last year with Appointment Cameroon. So much fuller.
But you said it was a Cuban seed.
So most of all this is Cuban seed. The difference with the Cameroon seed from Africa that was grown in Honduras by the Aurora is that we are using the Arapiraca wrapper from Brazil, from the Alec region of Brazil. We have 3 sizes. We have Robusto, we have a Toro, and then we also have a Gordo at a 5x60. I like to say that El Rey is your favorite brand that you've never heard of, right? So it's one of those brands that sneaks under the radar, but once you find it, what it delivers on its flavor and profile for the price, it's an incredible experience. Whether it's our base El Rey del Mundo with the natural Oscuro shade, or if you step up to the Appointment line, you get a really, really enjoyable experience for less than $10. So you don't have to break the bank. You can buy more than one, of course. But really, really happy with this.
Strong medium.
This is more of that medium plus. If you remember, I just talked to you about Alec Bradley. That creative vision is very much different than the El Rey vision. This is one that is beholden to the past, right? So we do honor the heritage of where it came from a long time ago. But we also really embrace where we want to go with it, right? So again, really great experience, less than $10 for these cigars. Over here, if you see, I also have what's called King of the World. So this is the elevation of that, right? So this is an LE project, very limited. I had cigars that I made that were in an aging room for more than 4 years. So that's where the VSOP comes in. If you know anything about cognac or that family of beverage, VSOP means very special old pale. The definition of VSOP in the liquor world is the liquid has to be aged for more than 4 years. So I had this cigar that I really loved that was aging in an aging room for more than 4 years. So my VSOP is very special old Parejo, right? So limited to what I had. Really lovely blend, Ecuadorian Sumatra, lots of Nicaraguan, Dominican fillers in here. Very nice experience. We may be sold out of this, but I wanted, since we just launched this, a few weeks ago, I wanted to put it in here because I don't think you've seen the last of the limited editions with King of the World, right? So very beautiful brand that I love to work on. I love even more to smoke it.
Right, that's what I want to say, if I can.
Yep.
I don't want to use the word trend, but I'm loving what's going on as far as the price point, where you mentioned about folks and their money, right?
Correct.
So I'm noticing that a lot of cigars now being put out by this company
Well,
are keeping it within what I call spokesman price.
Yeah, I think so. For many years we saw including us, right? So we're no stranger to this, but the trend, especially after COVID, was that price point was going up and up. Right, so now you walk around the show, very good cigars. A lot of them, in order to be profitable for that company, are $15, $16, $17, $18. The way that we're looking at money for the next couple of years is very different now, right? So as brand architects, you have to think about the whole plan before you build, right? So which means, what do you want to pay for it? What do I want to sell it to a retailer for? And ultimately, how much sort of elasticity do you want this brand to have? Once the architecture of this brand is put in place, then we can reach out to who's going to roll it for us, and who's going to sell it for us, right? So, but one of the things that we have been very conscious about for the last couple of years is that price point.
See, at the same time, are you cutting any type of corners or advertising maybe, or to keep it that price? Are you taking away or?
No, I don't think there's any corners cut. The one advantage of us being STG, is that we have the advantage of being large to buy futures of tobacco versus just sort of maybe the smaller shops. And I don't know, I'm not going to speak for the smaller guys, but we have the ability to sort of like forecast a little bit better, and we have the ability to sort of reach out and buy a little bit more. So there are no corners cut. I may make some of these cigars in my factory versus reaching out to third-party factories.
Right.
Right. So I try to keep things more in my house, versus going out. And I love all the other blends from third parties, but I am very, very cautious of that now because there's a lot of mouths to be fed in this business, right? But I also want to deliver you a product that is outstanding for a price where you want to keep coming back and buying this brand. Yeah. Yeah, because at the end of the day, we are filled with a very beautiful industry with a lot of really, really great cigars.
Cigars, the first thing you're thinking about is $15.
Correct. So I will say this. I'll end this. I really do think that what El Rey del Mundo is, it punches well above its weight. For the profile and the price point, it certainly punches well above its weight. And maybe I said this before, but I really do stand by the fact that El Rey is your favorite brand that you've never heard of, right? So, once you see it on the shelf and you get it, you're like, wow, okay, cool. My only desire as a brand manager or as somebody in my position is that it's very hard to make you loyal to a brand like we were loyal back 20 years ago because there's so many good things to smoke. All I can ask is that, like Dimitri has a pocket with a couple cigars. All I can ask is I want one of these to be one of those cigars.
So speaking of brands, so what are your challenges now to let folks know that brand exists? So we come out as media, we try to partner with PCA, let folks know that these new products do exist. What are your challenges inside the company when it comes to branding?
I think that's a
you're
great
kind of
question.
limited on where you can kind of put, not a commercial per se, but how does that information even get out there?
The biggest challenge, I've been doing this for 20 years, right? So the biggest challenge that I've seen growing up in this industry is that we have created an ADD environment.
Yes.
We, the manufacturers, have created ADD. And what I mean by that is 20 years ago when you launched a brand, the amount of time that a retailer or a cigar smoker gave that brand to prove itself was much longer. So now, because there's so many new things on the marketplace, the biggest challenge for me is we keep launching things, but the store shelves stay the same.
Yes.
Right? So I come to you, Dimitri, hey, I've got 5 new products for you. And Dimitri's like, that's great. Where am I going to put them? I'll tell you what. You pull off some of your brands and I'll put these new brands. Whoa. Don't do that. Like, what are we talking about? So what I mean by ADD is that the term loyalty has been redefined, right? People aren't as loyal anymore. And we see this with beverage. We see this with beer, wine, spirits. The idea of being loyal to a brand is not the same as it once was. So the ADD effect is that once this new product's there, a retailer or a cigar smoker, their time frame on what success means to them is very short. I sell this to a store, and the next month I go in and say, this isn't moving. I said, well, it's only been here a month. Like, you put up the point of sale material or anything? Have you promoted it? Like, what's going on? It's not moving. It's only been 3 weeks. Like, bro, you got to give it more time. This is an industry that really savors the time. It takes you a long time to smoke, right? It takes you a long time to develop these relationships with cigar smokers and your friends and your partners. All I'm asking is for a little bit more time with some of these products.
That's a big challenge.
It's a big challenge.
A big challenge because there's no real mechanism for marketing in the sense of like wines, they have commercials on TV, they have celebrities do their thing. The tobacco industry is a challenge where it's still taboo. So
all I can do is
media, I guess, is somewhat about
social
brand.
Is good. All I can do, just empower my sales reps to go out there, make sure that people like you and Dimitri and you have cigars to smoke and try of all the new stuff, right? Because again, you're going to spend the next few hours, the next couple of days going and talking to people like me. Your people can't see this. There's a whole trade show floor of really good cigars. We're all saying the same thing. Bring it up, buy it, try it, put it on your shelf. There is almost 1,000 people that are going to tell you the same thing.
Yes.
So maybe my story resonated with you. I don't really know. All I can tell you is that I'm very proud of what I've created. I'm very proud of the team and my partners that have made these things possible for me. And I'm confident that when you bring in Alec Bradley or El Rey or Partagas, Macanudo, any of these brands at Forged and General Cigar, I can confidently say that these are some of the best cigars that you can find. You know, our ability to have all these tobaccos, our abilities to make, you know, not only in our factories but third party, our relationships that we've created over, you know, the last, you know, handful of generations.
I think to stand out opposed to other brands. I'm not saying they're not good; they probably are great. But the price point, you're going to pay for that. If you're going $15 to $20, so you can actually get a great stick.
100%.
For a working man, for the working person, you get a stick. You're not going to do that on a regular basis.
100%.
That $20 stick, it's not going to be every day.
It's a harder sell because, you know, like money is very personal with people.
Yes.
You know, and spending that $20 on something that you know is one thing, but spending $20 on something you don't know,
right?
You know, like that's a risk.
Yes.
You know,
so
I would rather, like with the El Rey, with the appointment, for example, you know, again, if this is $8, if this is $9, I would rather buy for you to take that $20 and buy two of these versus one that you may or may not like.
Still got the little kid in me. I still like two
more than one. Etiquette, so imagine buying two of those.
Correct,
cigars.
right. My thing is 3 cigars, right? One to smoke, one after that cigar, and then one to share, one to trade. Yeah, or to take with you, right? So you got to pocket 3 cigars. Like I said, I want my cigar to be one.
Yes.
That's my philosophy.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
That was a good thing.
Absolutely.